Protect the Shield podcast. Let's get it.
Kind of before we get to the details of that season, one thing, because I was actually talking to Stu Swaggart a few weeks ago, and I was kind of getting into it with him, or not getting into it, but just understanding the draft process with Al Davis. Because, us fans, we hear certain stuff, and I got to know. So how is the draft process with Al Davis?
Listen, Coach Davis is what I call
Davis,
him.
Yep.
He had his hand on everything, the draft, the defense especially. He wanted someone who could run the offense. That was not his specialty. His specialty was defense. He was one of the most special human beings I've ever had an opportunity to work with. I heard all these stories coming in just about how different he was, how he handled things, how he would not get close to coaches, how he did not see eye to eye with coaches. I experienced that very quickly, but for whatever reason, we had this bond. And I think it's because of my time interviewing with him. Yeah. I interviewed with him for about 6 hours. And people don't know when a guy can stand there and grill you on football.
And know it.
Yeah. You just said it. I mean, I really believe to the day he passed, he never lost his faculties. He never lost himself. I mean, he could talk football with you. He could talk strategy with you. He could talk whatever he wanted to. And so the influence he had on me, he gave me an opportunity, one, to be his head coach. But more so than that, he taught me what it was like to be a Raider and really what it meant and how he went about building a football team. I just remember the conversations about when he was growing up and he got a chance to see the Yankees, being in New York and how good and how athletic they looked. And then coming to California and watching the Dodgers and seeing the speed and how it influenced him and how he saw, putting a team together. He really thought it was big, physical, and fast. And so that was the number one thing for him. And so if you were a guy that ran fast, you had a chance to be on the Raiders. If you had a guy that had unbelievable characteristics physically, you had a chance to be on the Raiders. If you had extreme toughness, you had a chance to be on the Raiders because he was influenced by the things he was influenced coming up. And it made the Raiders great. I mean, he turned that organization. This guy was a coach.
Yeah.
He was a coach, and then he became a GM. He became he understood it from head to toe. And so to sit at his knee and learn about why you do the things you do and how you put teams together, and they have to be in your vision and your image. And that's why the Raiders were what they were. And I always say this to people, the reason why I've always felt the Raiders had changed a little bit is because they got away from that blueprint. The blueprint is that he established that's just the way they were built. You could look every year and see that's the type of players that were on the team, and you knew what you were going to get, and I get it. It's changed a little bit, and deservingly so. Those things happen. But at the same time, that was the Raiders' way, and that was Al Davis's way.
Absolutely.